Welcome to The Real Look. I'm Bruce Hardy.
And I'm Chase Williams.
I'm so excited to introduce this episode's Northern Lights guests, Juan Mendoza and Ramon Murillo, from MurilloMendoza Home Sales Group with Keller Williams, Greater Seattle. Juan was brought up to the Seattle area from Mexico when he was just 9 years old, when his parents saw that coming to the U.S. was their only alternative to overcoming poverty. As the son of farmers and the youngest of 9 children, Juan saw his parents renting in Seattle instead of purchasing a home, which actually inspired him to get into the real estate industry at a young age. Fast forward to 2011, Juan teamed up with Ramon and formed MurilloMendoza Home Sales on a mission to give back to their communities and promote wealth building through home ownership. And they haven't looked back since. Please enjoy this conversation with Juan and Ramon. Well, g'day, Ramon and Juan. Welcome to The Real Look. Where does today's podcast find you?
I'm in Bothell, Washington.
Seattle.
You're in Seattle. Well, gentlemen, we all have a journey, right? We all have a life prior to real estate. I want to start with you, Ramon. So what did you do prior to getting into real estate?
I'm an engineer by trade. I started investing in real estate, and friends knew that I have purchased a home, so they approached me. They needed help. At the time, there was no Spanish-speaking agents here in the Northeast area. There was only 2 of us, one in Tacoma and one here. So I started helping people through the process. At the time, it was back in 1996, so we didn't have the nice, beautiful MLS that we have now. So I stand out with Yellow Pages book, kind of looked like that. And I didn't know that you got paid for doing this. So I did more than 20 transactions, helping another agent where I was doing the translation, filled the forms for him, and that was helping the people until his broker, like a year after, he asked me, "Why don't you get a real estate license?" I said, "I don't need one." He said, "Yeah, you need one. I want you to get paid." So he paid for that. Was Home Realty that I started with. The agent got upset and he quit. I felt bad. I didn't know that you can get paid doing this. So I got the real estate license, and all of a sudden just took off. I was making more money doing this part-time job. 6 months, I made the decision to switch to real estate.
And Juan, what about you?
I always liked the real estate portion of it. And even when I was in high school, I remember I went to this conference. I was like 16, 17 years old. And the gentleman that did the talk, he's like, "What are you doing here? You should be having fun." And I really began through retail banking back in 2000. And then I did mortgages in 2005 until 2008. Eventually, the market kind of made me switch over in 2009 because obviously that's when the real estate market crashed. I ended up getting my license because I had a lot of clients coming and saying that they needed help like short selling. You need a real estate license for that. So after doing mortgages for 4 years, I ended up switching to real estate and becoming this expert in the short sale industry.
That's how we met.
And that's how we met.
Part of your story was there was a need and you came and met the need, right? Spanish speaking, short sales. What were you finding the climate was like among all other agents, Juan, given, the number of short sales that were happening in the business? And was that something that a lot of people were doing, or you became kind of the person that was taking on a bulk of that in your market?
I ended up adapting. I guess I ended up in this business because the need, like you said, going a little bit further back, I didn't apply into the retail banking. I applied for a scholarship to go to the UW, and apparently there were in alliance, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which I got the scholarship from, was in alliance with Bank of America. Bank of America gave me a call and said, "You want to interview?" I said, "Yeah, but why not?" And so I began in banking. Eventually people came to me and said, "Can you help me do mortgages?" And I don't do mortgages. I do personal loans, lines of credit, which in the search for getting lines of credit, I met Ramon. Eventually, I had so many petitions that I became a mortgage loan officer and started doing mortgages. After doing mortgages from 2000 up until 2009, once again, the need, I was trying to help people with their mortgage needs, but they weren't qualifying. Our niche market has been the Hispanic community. At that time, they didn't qualify for refinances or anything like that. So we ended up doing some modifications through the need of the modifications. Eventually, some of them didn't qualify for a modification. So that's when, as an alternative, I suggested that they should short sell the house. And I was getting a short sale per day sometimes. this was happening so fast for everyone. I mean, it was so new. I mean, it's not like we come through a real estate crashing, every day. Keep in mind that we were also suffering. It was complicated trying to survive and make income. So I needed to feed my family as well. And, we ended up doing so much business in short sales. I ended up meeting a lot of investors as well. So one thing led to another. Finding a solution to a necessity, it's what we're always about. So we're always adjusting to that necessity. And that's what we're always looking. What do the people need? And that's what we're going to bring.
So, Ramon, you said that it was through short sales that you guys actually met. Is that correct?
Actually, I had a mortgage company that was in need. When I was selling real estate, I didn't have loan officers. They had the products that I was looking for. I knew the products were available. It's just the brokers that I were working with, they didn't have those lenders on their list. So I ended up opening a mortgage company to serve my clientele. And that's how we met Juan. He was doing lines of credit. And when he came to my office through one of the loan officers, that's how we met. 2008, a lot of lenders, went bankrupt. So we ended up closing the mortgage company. It became that recession very fast. So we team up, and we team up also with an attorney to help people do the short sales. And some people even qualified to do BKs to protect their assets. And then we located a lot of investors, like Juan said, and that's how we end up with more than 100 listings. It came to a time that I don't want no more listings. I was buying lock boxes for $25 to agents that went out of business. So it was a lot of work, and it was difficult to sell because only investors were buying all those properties. The lenders at the beginning, they were confusing people. They told clients one thing, they told us another thing, and it was very unregulated at the beginning. After about 2 years after the recession started, when the banks start with these new regulations and making banks to be more helpful to the consumer, we survived that part. We worked the short sales, we worked the bankruptcies with an attorney, and also the loan modifications. So many of our clients from that recession, they came back because they know how hard we worked for them, either to keep the house, to get rid of the house, so they came back to us. We didn't lose them. We stayed with them from the beginning to the recession and after the recession. So they're our clients, because we stayed there all the time. So We've been in the community, very active in any way where we feel that it's fit their needs. So that's what we do. We solve problems. That's how we present ourselves. What do? We solve problems. That's what we do.
So what does your business look like? So you guys got together and you started out, you're really in that distressed real estate world, right? Which we all were back in the business in those days. So what does your business look like today?
Beautiful. We are happy. Very different. Right now we have with this interest rate going up, we end up finding ways to sell people's homes. We always look into solve problems. We do 2-1 buy downs, and we use seller financing, and we're always looking for ways to make things happen. That's what we do.
So I'm curious about, you had met in the lending world and then moving into the real estate world. What was the decision-making process to work together the way that you did then? And what's that journey been like working together in the same business since?
We knew a lot of people in common. We are good friends through church. So not just to work for, also through church. We knew a lot of people, and I learned that some of our people that knew him and knew me didn't want to hurt our feelings, so they went with someone else. I said, no, you don't need to go there, because they didn't want to feel bad one or other. So we ended up teaming up. So he said, I'm in charge of buyers and I'm in charge of sellers, and we just help each other in the process. We go 50-50 and problem solve, and that has worked very well. We never had an issue. We know exactly what we want, and he has too much work, I jump in. I get too busy, he jumps in as well. So it's been like a brotherhood, if you call it that way.
How many years is that now that you guys have been working together?
12.
May 1st of 2011.
Do you have a team today? Do you have other people working with you?
We do. We have people that work with us in different capacities. We need the teams.
Our niche market, the Hispanic community, it's a very unique market, especially the first generation, second generation market. They want that direct touch contact, a lot of hand holding, even helping them download their bank statements, emailing documents, how to go through the process of doing an electronic signature. And so just doing that extra, just preparing them, because one of the things that we tell their clients, everyone can buy. it's just a matter if you can't buy right now, you'll be able to buy in 3 months, 6 months, or a year. But everyone can buy. At the end of the day, I tell people time is going to fly. And whether you do nothing or you do something or start preparing yourself to that goal of acquiring not a house, a home for your family, and also to start creating wealth, you need preparation. You can start right now. We help people plan out for the future, and not only to buy their first house, but from the first meeting, we're talking to them about, think about the second home, think about the third home. Unfortunately, the cost of living is so high nowadays that it's complicated if you're thinking that you're going to retire on Social Security. If you have Social Security, because many of the clients don't even have Social Security, they don't have those benefits. So we end up putting a plan so that they can end up not only buying a home for their family, but also be able to have a nice retirement, that they don't have to go with a son or a daughter, which is very common in the Hispanic community. The parents, they don't send them to housing, they go with their children, and it's sometimes complicated because now it's a different culture, and now we have that third person coming in, and sometimes it doesn't always go well with that contrast of cultures. It's not the same. Somebody that, for example, came from Mexico first generation understands, having mom and dad, versus here, it's not the same way. And so I said, when you start really thinking about this true scenarios that are happening, and then you tell them this, they're like, you know what? Yes, you're right. I'm already seeing this, that my aunt, she's having issues with the daughter-in-law, with the son, and it's complicated, and I don't want to be doing that. So I said, exactly. That's why you have to buy, invest, and, you can make money with other people's money. And by that, I mean with the lenders. And so it's educating people.
You mentioned several times the Hispanic community and that being kind of a focus and a niche as part of your business. What are some of the unique challenges that you get to help that community solve, right? You talk about being problem solvers. Would love to understand that better, because clearly you're filling that need in a very powerful way.
We come from a country, from a culture where banking is very difficult. So when we come to this country, banking is not something that you knew. So you have to learn it. So many people have their money in cash. Many people have good job, good income, but no credit. Some people will lend money to family members. And when they're going to buy a home, the family member wants to pay off the loan so he can buy the house. And okay, so let's do in a way that the bank will agree and also explain that. Many times the community brother helps brother to buy a house. So they're already tied up in another mortgage. Many times they have 3 or 4 car payments, but they're not their cars, that they just help a family member to buy a car. They had the income, they had the credit, but they held this debt on their credit. So we walk them through credit to establish the savings the way the bank wants to be. Also, the down payment to be structured in a way that the bank will accept the source of down payment. It's their money. It's just that they lend the money to a family member. So now we need to make it look like it's a gift when in fact it's their money. So that's what it becomes very entertaining for us. That's why we need help structuring the way the bank wants to see things. So when Juan says we prepare them for the second and the third home, it's precisely we said, doing this 2 years, 3 years, you can buy a second home, and this one can become your rental, especially when they're now 100%. They don't have the house that they really want. I said, don't worry, this is a temporary thing. Save a little more, structure your business. The next home in 2 or 3 years will be a house, more likely one that you want. So this becomes a rental. So that's what we do with people. We walk in through the process, and then we have instances where their clients are buying a home and they leave the country for vacations and they don't tell us. So I say, you need to close. Oh, I'm in Mexico. No, you need to be here. Send me the papers. No, doesn't work that way. It's a culture. We see a lot of people that have tried it, that they get very frustrated. I know agents, they've been working with Hispanic clients, and this is too much. It's not. It's just you need to know what they need. And I think it's just the same with the Chinese, with the Indians. Every culture has its own way of doing business. Because I've done some Asians, and it's only like 1 or 2 times, and then they go back to their culture again. Mm-hmm. So it's a cultural thing. We understand well because we come from there. I was born in Mexico. Juan was born in Mexico. So we understand the problem from firsthand. So it's easier for us to understand them, to help them accomplish what they really need. It's not easy, but we learned the process, 3 years.
I think you said something very wise there. And in the context of this community and the culture and how it relates to what they're wanting to accomplish. But what you said is that you need to know what they need, right? In other words,
Exactly.
You have to understand the challenge before you can solve it. And I think that's true in business in general, right? That's very wise.
And understanding also, even many people aren't U.S. citizens, what does it mean when you have a work permit? What type of work permit? Is it a DACA? Is it a green card? Is it a asylum? Mm-hmm. We have to even understand the immigration portion of it. And we do, because you know what? I had to go through the process. My mom had to go through the process. My wife had to go through the process. And understanding what the needs are, and if you know those needs, how can that be resolved? We want to be that bridge that gets you from point A to point B. That's what we're here for. Once again, resolving problems, removing obstacles, and helping them win. And in the process of helping people win, we also win.
Now a brief word from our sponsors. Stick around.
Keller Williams Luxury Agents. There's an incredible opportunity waiting for you to elevate and grow your business with KW Luxury Pro. KW Luxury Pro offers earned-in luxury agents the opportunity to elevate your business and secure more referrals by focusing on 3 pillars. 1, the network. Our exclusive relationship and referrals directory connects you with fellow luxury agents around the country for more luxury referral opportunities. 2, the knowledge. Our monthly speaker series brings celebrated business authors, inspiring international speakers, and thought leaders directly to you. Our monthly connection and collaboration series offers the opportunity to learn best practices from fellow Luxury Pro members teaching the playbooks from their own businesses. And 3, the experiences. Our members enjoy unique experiences that go beyond the ordinary. Whether it's touring a $48 million estate with your fellow pro members or going behind the scenes at the Four Seasons private residences, you'll have an experience like no other. Join Keller Williams Luxury Pro today to learn how our members are building meaningful connections, sharing business referrals, and expanding their knowledge in a supportive and collaborative community. For more information, please visit kwluxurypro.com.
Was your experience in the mortgage business helpful? It sounds like it was in helping people, right? How did you educate yourself on the other aspects, right? I get the cultural piece, but like the immigration piece and that type of thing.
A lot of reading and a lot of asking. Yes, that's how we learn it.
And also from experience, for example, myself, I think one of the huge differences is, like in my case, I began from zero. I was a teller at a bank. I understand the most basic stuff about banking. Eventually, I became a mortgage loan officer, so I understood the different programs. Obviously, at that point, there was sustained programs. There was, different negative amortization programs. There is conventional programs. Understanding the mortgage lending, knowing what those requirements are to qualify. When a client gives us a call and they're telling me, this is how much I make, this is how much I have a credit score, I'm already technically doing some sort of pre-qualification. I'm already doing, 50% ratio, this is their income. So I'm like, you have a potential, you do qualify, or you know what, we may need somebody else to be with you, like a son or daughter. If that's the case, when we send them to the lender, I tell them this, look, I believe they are short in funds, but they have a son, daughter that can be added onto the loan that's going to live with them. I think they'll be fine. You may have to work with them, add them to a credit card so that the son generates that credit score. We'll wait a couple months and make sure that they're fine. And just understanding everything from ground zero, credit, income, assets, and like the ratios, the LTVs, you already have a solution when the problem that they're bringing you presents itself. Also, we do ourselves investing as well. So we're in the process of trying to get another home for investment purposes, and having all these documents and rental agreements, we understand from firsthand. So like Ramon says, educating ourselves always. We're always going to classes. For example, in January, we're going to go to a conference in Phoenix to absorb all this information so that we can bring to our clients, that we implement not only for ourselves, but can share that information. It's a nonstop and always adjusting to the needs of today's, the interest rates goes up. Well, let's negotiate seller financing, let's look into alternatives, right?
So you guys have experienced the shift in the market during the kind of the Great Recession, right? Back when the lending and then the short sales. I think it's fair to say that we're experiencing, although different, another shift in the market here in recent times. What are your thoughts around how you are approaching this shifting market, given your experience in the last, and how will that make the difference for you?
When I'm on the radio, people ask me, when is the best time to buy? I said, the best time to buy when you're ready. Keep in mind, the interest rate is just a dating time, but not the prices of the home. You cannot refinance the price of the home, but you can refinance the interest rate. This is seasonal. Look at the history of the United States economy. It's up and down, up and down. So it is a good time to buy. Also studying the options to purchase that property, we're always looking for the best loan possible. We work with different lenders. We're not married to only one lender. We're always looking for programs, and finding ways to make this happen. We do a real comparison to see if it makes sense. Like Juan said, we're also investors. I'm not going to sell something to you because we build relationships. We're not hunters. We are farmers. So we see a person as a relationship. So we're very careful. Sometimes we say, we need to wait a little bit. It's not the time. At least this is not the right property for your needs. I think it's better if you go out another 2-3 miles farther south, farther north, and get the house for right now, and then later on buy it in the area that you want. It's always a way to solve a problem. Is if they want to buy, let's get ready. Let's get ready. And we have people that have called us 3 or 4 years that we talked to them and said, I did what you told me, Juan. I did everything, and they did it. And Juan said, oh, yeah. Or me, I said, we have to write in a contact who the client is. Otherwise, they get us off guard, because they say, you gave me all this advice and now you don't even remember me. So we had to be careful on our notes. Yeah. So I think every market offers an opportunity, and that's what we do. Trying to find the opportunity in every economy and then finding the right people. Sometimes we find that when we see a house that we know is a good opportunity, we already know who can buy it. Who has the savings, who's waiting for it. Every house in every market will sell at the right price.
Yeah, I love that. You guys are problem solvers. Do you go looking for people who are problem solvers in terms of the people that you partner with? Lenders, whether it be title, home inspectors. Is that what you're looking for in the people that you do business with?
Exactly. Something that they have the same way of thinking, people that are solving problems. A lot of good lenders, but you have to bring the right client, the easy ones. But it's not fair to feed the easy clients to the people that was looking for the easy. So we normally feed those to the people that have walked with us. So we have like the inspector that we use. We know him for almost 24 years, and he's very professional. He's very good. But we also give people the choices. We know other inspectors. You can find your own inspector, but this is the inspector that we use. And same thing with lenders. We have lenders that we walk with them, or they walk with us. We walk together. Let's put it that way. And they're also looking for best ways to help us. And there's people, that they don't work hard enough, and they're just traditional lenders. We call it traditional lenders, and we're looking for niche lenders, lenders that are always looking for the best programs for us.
Right here where we're at, we were so blessed. And one of the partners that we're currently with is here at Keller Williams, Angie Mickle, who's a great support consultant, a coach. It's getting with the right people and with the right team, and, the team here, the environment. One of the reasons that we came here at Keller Williams, Greater Seattle in 2000, it's because of the family environment that it has. There's something for everyone, and we're all trying to help each other out. One of the things that you asked earlier before, are you keeping updated with all this changes? This team, for example, we're in meetings like every Tuesday. We know what the consumer report, what those numbers are, the unemployment report. I mean, sometimes the same day, and we bring professional people that explains what that means. This is the type of group of people that we come together with, that, that will not only help us grow professionally, but will also help our clients. And we're always looking for alternatives. If something doesn't work anymore, well, it's time to look for an alternative. I don't even know how many times we have switched gears within the past 15 years, because it's been a roller coaster, different market all the time from 2008, 9, 10, 11. It's been awesome. We've enjoyed it, and we're out there to help people and get all this wealth of information to our clients so that they can, also help their families and guide them.
Since 1996, when I got my license, at the end of the year, I was thinking about leaving that office, and I left that office. And then I went to a bigger firm. Every year I was thinking about leaving, because they say something, but they deliver something else, So I would say you really have to find by your acts, not by what you think or not what you say. But at the end, it's what you do. That's who you are. So I felt like that with every company. But this office make the difference, make the difference. From the beginning, they gave me more than I was expecting, and they delivered more than what I was expecting. So it's a great office, and there's a problem less to worry about and to concentrate on the things that make us bring the resources that we need to accomplish what we have. So we noticed by coming to Keller Williams, specifically this office, because I was a different Keller Williams office, our business double, and it keeps growing. Part is because of the environment, the team, but the leadership is the key. Angie, thank you, Angie.
Angie's awesome.
She is pretty great.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know today, if you were to go back and talk to your younger self, thinking about getting into real estate, what would your advice be?
Is to learn the business right from the beginning. Sometimes we make decisions based on the immediate compensation, but we don't look at the future. So I think it's wise to invest in yourself, mainly in yourself, and find the best support that you can find. When I look back, I said, I could have done this, could have done that. So end up with me making the wrong decisions. The tools were there, but I made the wrong decisions. So I will just pay somebody, pay the price to get it right from the beginning. I missed a lot of opportunities because it was me, not because anybody else. It was me. So yeah, doing things right. Invest on yourself, invest on the tools that you need, team up with people. I think teams will always do more than one solo person.
Yeah.
And I had many opportunities to be part of teams, and I always rejected teams because I was looking to duplicate myself. I says, no. I learned a couple months ago, they said you can duplicate yourself by 40%, by 20%. It's better than none. So I will look at the team different. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Juan? What advice would you give your younger self?
Slow down. Sometimes to go fast, you got to slow down. When I was young and you just want to eat the whole world in front of you, and therefore you're trying to go so fast that you miss so much opportunities, and you end up taking a lot longer as a consequence to accomplish the same goal. And also make sure that you hang around the right people, the right team. Take time to do your homework. For example, I had some young people come here to this office that we referred over. And, I said, if somebody would have just told me of an office, of a leadership like this, man, I would have done so much better, so much faster. I'm about to turn 43. And sometimes when we're young, you miss so much. You're trying to go so fast that sometimes you just got to slow down.
I love that. Well, gentlemen, this has been a real treat for us. I know our listeners got a lot of value out of this as well. And I just want to say to our listeners, if any of you have any referrals for the greater Seattle area, look no further than Ramon and Juan with the MurilloMendoza Home Sales Group. We'll have their contact information in the show notes. Juan, Ramon, thank you so much. We appreciate you. This was awesome.
No, thank you for having us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
It was a pleasure being here.
Hang tight. We'll be right back.
Climbing interest rates mean less homeowners moving and more uncertainty. You may be looking for a new value proposition. What if you could become the visionary for any staging, design, or renovation need? Style to Design is a staging and design platform, and we invented reality staging and reality renovations. Build your value proposition with access to 1,500 plus design boards, reality tools, customized marketing content, and lead generation website pages. Learn more at styletodesign.com. Well, Chase, that was a treat. What were some of your takeaways?
Well, Bruce, I love their stories about how they got into business, but also how they continued being successful in business. And it was always by seeing and finding a need and then solving that, right? And that's really kind of their motto. Like Ramon said, people ask us what we do, we solve problems. But I love the way that Juan shared it. He said, we're always finding a solution to a necessity, and then we're just adjusting to the changing necessities. And I thought, wow, what a way of thinking about serving other people, right? What do they need? Understanding that at a really deep level, which they talked through, and then, positioning themselves to fill a need. I mean, that might sound oversimplified, but I think if a lot of people thought of it that way, they'd be providing a higher level of service like these guys.
I agree with you. I think it was just a wonderful education for me in this ability to be adaptive, right? I mean, you think about the market that they got into back in the day where it was short sales and REOs and bankruptcies and all of that. Most realtors would think, oh my God, I don't want to be that involved in somebody's life, right? Helping them with their credit challenges and everything else. And yet you could see that that's what they do. Right. And by the way, it's why their businesses continue to grow over the years, and the fact that they're willing to continually adapt. I think the other thing too, Chase, is realizing, and I hadn't thought about this until this conversation, but culturally, there are differences, right? And by the way, I think that's one of the values of traveling the world is when you go and experience it, you get to experience some of these other cultures, not just being a tourist, but if you can actually go and live. But what they're doing for their community is truly astounding in terms of helping them build wealth, and not just their own wealth, but multi-generational wealth.
Yeah, it's just a good illustration of the impact that serving people in the right way can have in their life, particularly around something like real estate. They approach that, Bruce, not only that high touch, getting down there in the detail like you shared, really approach that from an educational standpoint, right? Consulting and educating through, okay, here's why you need to open a bank account, or here's how you can establish credit, or here's the way banking works here versus, somewhere else that a different country you may be from. It's a lot of educating. And we find often that our best realtors, our best producers, the ones with the largest businesses, really are rooted in educating and coming alongside people to understand what is necessary, required, expected, et cetera. And, that requires a relationship. And I think Ramon really nailed it when he used the analogy. He said, we're not hunters, we're farmers. We're farming these relationships long term. And that's a different way of thinking about a business, right? Versus more transactional or being a hunter, for example. And not to get lost in the words, but I felt like that was such a strong analogy to it's a relationship business, and they certainly treat it that way. And so much so, Bruce, that they were both giving advice on the positive environment that they're in and the people that's involved, right? Those are also relationships, professional relationships for them in the office that they're part of. And Juan sharing his advice was get around the right people. Those are the other side of the coin, if you will. You have these relationships you're developing with your clients, and yet who you're developing relationships with on the other side in business that are helping serve and support you. I thought that was great advice.
Oh, yeah. Who you're in business with really does matter. I did ask them if their prior mortgage experience was helpful, and obviously it was. But what I loved was they contrasted that with their knowledge and understanding around immigration. They weren't in the immigration business, but they've learned that. You can tell they're lifelong learners. Yep. And I think that that's great advice for anybody thinking about real estate as a career. Next week's Northern Lights guests are Brent Hansen and Chase Craig with Livian Select with Keller Williams Realty Boise. We'll see you next week on The Real Look. This podcast is produced by Marissa Frost. Visit KWNWR.com to access the show notes from today's episode. Head over to Apple, Google, or Spotify, or really any major streaming platform to subscribe, and don't forget to leave us a review. Thanks again for listening to The Real Look.